So in this video, I'll have a little talk through thoughts on Ragnarok. And obviously, there's going to be my Voluspa playlist because obviously a lot of the details about what happens or happened, I mean, that's a separate conversation, but what happens at Ragnarok. Now, where I want to start at is that obviously warriors are chosen to go to Valhalla to be a part of an army for Odin. So let's just go back a step, because obviously there's talk that Freya gets her share of warriors for some purpose, but Odin chooses warriors for Valhalla for this fight that will come at Ragnarok. And obviously, with what Odin knows and we know, is that this is a fight that is predestined to happen and is predestined to be a fight that is lost. So obviously there's this culture that the Norse wanted to die in battle, wanted to go to Valhalla because they wanted to sup with the gods, with the All-Father, and have this eternal life of waking up, going to fight all day, at some point dying, then being resurrected or brought back to life, depending on your choice of words, to then dying in the evening, drink mead, enjoy the fellowship, comradeship of the fellow warriors in Valhalla, and then go to sleep, and the next day do it all again. And you're going to be rinse and repeat this for an unspecified amount of time. I mean, it could be you are picked by Odin and go to Valhalla and you're there a couple of days and Ragnarok happens, or you've been there a longer amount of time. I mean, it's probably a whole different conversation to have about the concept of time in Valhalla, but obviously it's on a cycle of repeat on a daily basis, and do you bother to keep track of that or not? Obviously you would think Odin at the very least did, but the warriors go into Valhalla know of this losing battle. I mean, it's one of those things to sort of think about the concept behind it. It's on when Ragnarok comes. So all the portents draw together, and obviously the All-Father will march his army of warriors out of Valhalla. Picture the scene, really. And say it's the doors open, the armies march out, or the army marches out, to be led by Odin riding Sleipnir with his spear. And the march to this predetermined battle plane for this battle that they know or is predetermined to be lost, which I find quite intriguing as to what is the purpose for this, or as you find sort of, or you can find yourself thinking is, okay, this is the narrative, this is where your attention is focused, but what's happening off screen? I mean, we know that Surt comes from the south to bring his destruction. Loki is leading the Jotnar across the sea. We know Odin is devoured by Fenris, and Thor dies from wounds having slain Jormungandr. We know that Voluspa says that the elves and the dwarves are mentioned. And the thing that intrigues me again about Voluspa is obviously it is Frigg's second sorrow that Odin is devoured by Fenrir. And people may correct me on this, and I'm quite willing to be taught otherwise. But of the translations I've seen, while it is suggested that Odin is killed, it doesn't outright say it. We know that Thor falls dead from the wounds from the venom of Jormungandr. But it's Odin is devoured and is avenged. But Odin, in my path so far, if there's one underlying trait I seem to hold on to and believe about the Allfather, is that he doesn't want to submit to his fate, that he wants to be able to beat it or cheat it. And that's why I'm sort of really focused on the fact that it's Odin is devoured by Fenrir, and the implication is he dies. But Odin, I think, is tied by those events to be consumed, maybe even physically, by Fenrir. But that doesn't necessarily mean it is the end of Odin. That Odin doesn't have a trick up his sleeve. I mean, we already know that Odin has sacrificed himself to himself to learn about the runes. What's to not say that Odin doesn't, in his long searches to be the most wise, to have all the knowledge, to learn all there is to know, while he may be restricted by the prophecy of Voluspa, that he is not capable of fulfilling that prophecy, but it not be his end, that he has an escape clause. Obviously, Voluspa sort of says the Aesir find themselves after Ragnarok on Idavol. Balder returns to rule, and obviously there's this accepted perception that at least Odin and Thor are no more. But it's this off-screen detail about sort of the Aesir. What have they done? They're not mentioned out and out in the battle, this predetermined battle that is destined to be not a victory. So it's one of those things where I'd like to put forward the theory that this battle that cannot be won allows the Aesir to escape, to abandon Asgard, if you like. It's just like but where do they go to? How is this done? So what I'd like to put forward is this theory that Odin cheats. I don't want to cheat. Odin twists his way into not being tied down by the prophecy of Voluspa. So in the aftermath of Ragnarok, when the world reappears from the water and the Aesir reconvene and Balder returns and becomes the leader of the Aesir, that Odin endures, that Odin is free of his responsibilities, free from fate, to pursue what he wants to do, free to pursue his own agenda, transformed perhaps into a concept beyond previous understanding, but that Odin will endure the All-Father for all time, and be not content. I don't think content is something that Odin can be with his search for knowledge and wisdom, but is free to pursue those goals without being tied to ruling over the Aesir. So that's some, I don't know, maybe out there theories about sort of the purpose of Odin leading out these warriors from Valhalla, and that it's not a pointless battle where all these warriors are destined to be defeated for apparently no purpose, because obviously the Aesir escape, the Aesir return. It's a line of thinking that I've had for a little while, that's today in particular has just gravitated to me to want to sort of bluster or sort of talk about, and maybe see if anyone wants to engage with those ideas. Yeah, it's just one of those things that sits with me, that again, the narrative and what else is going on. So if you've watched this and want to comment, please do. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.